Here's a good example of a question where if you can get good at predicting the question, this one's not so bad. But if you're just kind of going by feel and like what sounds best, you're going to have trouble because they're trying to trick you here. So we really need to know different ways of predicting the question. The most common way, and we've definitely seen this in other questions on this test, is just to look at the answer choices and see what's different about them, and that can usually tell us what they're testing. So in this case, stressed, stressing, who's stressed, sounds like tense matters, right? They're changing that word stressed a lot. But that's a distraction. There's more to it than that. This is actually a punctuation question. Well, how would I know that? There's no punctuation in the choices. Correct. Almost all the time when we have punctuation questions, the punctuation is in the choices and it's changing. But there's one exception, and it's when we're testing fragments and run-ons. And sometimes they test these by moving the punctuation. That definitely comes up. We've talked about semicolons and colons on this test so far, and that's because those things affect whether you have a fragment or a run-on. But if I were to go to this sentence, my predict the question skills can really come in handy just by looking at the structure of what's going on. Explaining his company's decision to expand its tuition assistance program, John Fox, the director of dealer training at Fiat Chrysler Automobiles in the United States, comma, who stressed the importance of drawing skilled employees to Fiat Chrysler's car dealerships, colon. There's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of punctuation going on, and most importantly, that comma right before the underlined portion is a red flag. It tells me that punctuation probably matters. And so I have to pay attention, especially because I'm changing a little bit of the wording too. I need to pay attention to how that wording affects the sentence. Is it complete? Is it a run-on? What's going on? So when we start to analyze the sentence itself, we're going to need to think about the structure. And what we want to do is we want to eliminate things that are extra. Let's try to figure out what the main sentence is so we can see how this comma functions. So if we look here, it says, explaining his company's decision to expand its tuition assistance program. That's extra. I'm going to cross it out. It's all an intro clause that leads me to John Fox, right? That's the actual start of the sentence. John Fox is the core subject of the sentence. But we kind of then take another little break with this comma that has me describing who John Fox is, right? The director of dealer training at Fiat Chrysler Automobiles in the United States. That is an appositive. We've seen those in other places on the SAT. It's something that the SAT tests in lots of different ways. But for our purposes, it is an extra clause that defines something. So it starts with a comma after Fox. It ends with that comma after United States that I underlined in red. It's a removable phrase. It's an interruption. And so we use those two commas to show that we've interrupted the sentence. And now we're coming back to the sentence. So look at all the stuff we've crossed out. That's a lot. And now we get to the core of the sentence. John Fox, who stressed the importance of drawing skilled employees to Fiat Chrysler's car dealerships. And that colon there, because a colon requires a sentence, a complete sentence before it, it tells me it basically behaves like a period. The sentence needs to kind of end right there. And if that's not a complete sentence, I shouldn't have used the colon. If it's not a complete sentence, we have a problem. And right now, it is not a complete sentence. Let's read it again, just the highlighted part. John Fox, who stressed the importance of drawing skilled labor to Fiat Chrysler's car dealerships. Notice it, my voice kind of goes up. It sounds like I'm leading towards something, and then it just ends without me actually getting to wherever I was going. And the reason is that this who is kind of making another appositive again. It's describing John Fox. But I don't want another description of John Fox. I want an action that John Fox does. So who doesn't complete the sentence. It makes it sound like I'm leading towards something. The same thing is true with something like C. John Fox, stressing the importance of drawing skilled employees to Fiat Chrysler's car dealerships. What? What did he do? It's describing him again. And so stressing is not the right tense because it doesn't complete the sentence. It's not an active verb. That points to choice B, which is a more active verb. And it lets John Fox do an action. He's stressed. He's doing the stressing. So let's read that and let's see how that sounds. John Fox stressed the importance of drawing skilled employees to Fiat Chrysler's car dealerships. Notice that sounds a little bit better, right? When I got to car dealerships, I could end the thought. I could pause and stop and feel like I said something. You know, I got to my point. And that's what makes something a complete sentence. It has a subject, John Fox, and an active verb, stressed. And once we've done that, we can interrupt that sentence in all sorts of ways, like with the blue part that I crossed out. But we at least have a sentence that we can build on and interrupt. And that is why that is the answer. Now, if we went to choice D, it sounds very similar, but the and is kind of implying that we've already had a complete thought, and we're sticking a second complete thought at the end of this one, right? Let's read it, and it shouldn't sound good. John Fox, and he stressed the importance of drawing skilled employees to Fiat Chrysler's car dealerships. Well, we have an and, but we don't have a thing that comes first. And so this is also causing a problem for fragment and run-on reasons. This is a hard question. Notice how long my explanation took. But when I see this question, when I do it, it actually takes me only a couple of seconds because I'm very quick to recognize that they're testing punctuation, fragments, and run-ons. And I've practiced doing this thing where I cross out the extra stuff. It's a technique you can use to better understand the structure of a sentence, right? Every sentence has this like basic structure, a subject and a verb. And then what the SAT does is it adds on little pieces to it, right? It interrupts it in the middle, it tacks something onto the front, it adds a little quote at the end. It does all this stuff to make the sentence longer. But ultimately, there's some core sentence that we want to find. And you want to practice getting rid of the extra stuff so you can see the core a little bit more easily. And then it's easier to tell, do we have a run-on, do we have a fragment? This is not easy, but you can get better at it with practice. So I would say whenever you're thinking about punctuation, try to think about this. Try to look for that core, and that can help you be more confident in your answers, but can also help when things get really, really tricky, like on this one. It's tough, but if you can keep practicing, you can get this, and that's why the writing section, you can get perfect if you know your rules really well.